Welcome to Beneath the Wing. Just like air passing over the wing of an aircraft provides lift, the people we meet can also give us lift in life by sharing their stories of strength and success, connecting us all. Beneath the Wing explores the stories of those connected with the Minnesota Air National Guard's 133rd Airlift Wing with a little humor and learning along the way. I'm your host, Wing Command Chief Mark Legvold.
Today's Beneath the Wing is featuring Staff Sergeant Amanda Wolkenhauer, spelled with a W. Amanda recently joined the 133rd a few years ago after transferring from our friends across the runway at the 934th Airlift Wing. After growing up in Lindstrom, Minnesota, she decided to join the military and specifically went into the trades. Amanda's actually an artist, which we'll get into in just a bit, but first of all, welcome.
Hi.
Hi. So let's start at the very beginning. You grew up in Lindstrom. How did you get interested in pursuing a trade? And then we'll get into how you came into the military.
All right. I got interested in a trade. It was more in high school. It was just, one of my, I guess it kind of started in middle school, maybe a little bit. One of my favorite teachers, Mr. Leffler, later became Master Sergeant Leffler for me. He taught industrial tech. And when I moved up to the high school, he began teaching more metals classes. So I was like, okay, I really liked him as a teacher. He helped me through a lot of difficult middle school stuff, like making friends and getting through that weird phase, right? So I was like, I'm just going to try taking, one of these classes. Turns out, with him believing in me, he kept pushing me forward and I just kind of sort of fell in love with welding. It's like coloring for adults.
Uh-huh.
But he gave me academic achievement, my first metals class. Unfortunately, when I did take metals 2, Leffler was deployed to Cuba, and he had a substitute teacher come in, and I took on being a teacher assistant for that teacher.
In high school?
In high school. It was my senior year. And I really liked teaching the kids and stuff. And the substitute, he was a good substitute, but he lacked a kind of little, I actually got to show these kids how to do it, but he's a really good sub who also, gave me influence on welding. I began to notice through school, in college and stuff, that everybody welds completely different from one another. It's almost like your own signature or your own fingerprint.
I said that you're an artist, right? And being a farmyard welder, I get it. Everybody does weld differently. I weld poorly. So what makes a good artist when it comes to welding? You say coloring for adults.
Yeah, coloring for adults. Knowing what a bad weld looks like and knowing how to fix a weld or how to maneuver your hand in an angle, and like listening to the machine and just feeling everything in that weld, and also taking in a little bit of pain, because you're gonna get some sparks, you're gonna get that, but if you can take that pain and hold that still, just because you want that weld to be absolutely perfect, when you pick up that helmet and you see it and it just is like, oh, yes.
I can just hear it. I can see the passion here, and I hope people can hear it. When I was learning how to weld, the best piece of advice I got from my dad out in the shop, I'd shared with you before we started, I got like a 1936 old stick welder out in the farm shop, and he said, you can tell a good welder from a bad welder, not from the bead, because those will be pretty similar, but the good ones don't flinch when they get hit by those sparks.
The key is to not flinch. Even I've been in a position where I've had my pant leg on fire and I completely ignored it. I was like, it'll just burn. it'll be okay though. I'll be fine. I just want this weld to be perfect. But with going in and knowing that everybody welds so differently, I see a lot of YouTube videos and stuff on like how to weld, and I kind of wanted to start one on my own just to show a different way of welding and maybe have other welders come on that YouTube channel to show how they do things too, because I've helped a couple of kids out who are going through college or who are just beginning, and like their instructors sometimes teach them this way and it doesn't really work for them. But maybe if you try it this way, it might work differently. Mm-hmm. Even at tech school for structures here, we did a little bit of welding in that. And it was awesome to teach those kids a different way. And even the instructor was like in awe. And he was a pretty good welder too.
Yeah. Yeah, so you get a little bit of everything when you go through structure school for the Air Force, right?
Yes.
So welding was just a part of that, and I'm sure you got to that block and you were like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah, I tried really hard, and it was hard because welding is like, everything to me. But I tried really hard not to tell anybody I knew how to weld to see if they would notice. He noticed the first bead I laid down. He's like, are you a welder? He's like, yeah, I'm a welder.
So we talked a little bit about the tech school thing, right? You have a military journey that goes along with your trades journey.
Yes.
How did you get into the military in the first place?
Military, I don't know. I grew up just having that feeling. I kind of describe it to my mom every once in a while, but I don't know if other members go through this or not, but it's just like this feeling deep down that I'm supposed to be doing this, that this was, this was part of me. Maybe not me entirely, but it's a big chunk. And so like even when I was little, I knew I wanted to be in the military. I didn't know what branch or what to do. I didn't really start kind of getting the grasp of that until high school. First was like, all right, I want to be like Dad. I want to be a Marine. And Dad was like, no, don't do it. And then Leffler having such a big influence, he was always, we never had Air Force come and recruit like, the Army kind of, recruit at the schools, but we had Leffler. So he would recruit all the time.
Sure.
And he got me into the Air Force, but I did try to go guard first, and I got in a car accident and la-di-da. I ended up in the reserves, and then I'm glad I took the reserves journey because I think it made me stronger to get here.
So your first, we say an AFSC, and if you never wore a uniform in your life, it's basically what is your job in the military. Army calls it an MOS. It's just this fancy acronym for, hey, what's your job? So what was your job in the Air Force Reserve? What was the first thing that you did in the military?
I was an electrical and environmental specialist. The planes that we worked on the reserve side were the C-130Hs. Okay. I don't know if they're moving to the Js like we are or not. That was a big talk over there when I was just leaving. But I worked on those for for a while. But like going through tech school, you learned like on all different planes. Our job wasn't specified because you don't know where you're going to end up, like what base or whatnot. But that was my first AFSC. It wasn't sitting in the recruiter's office. I was like, I want to weld in the military because it's something I'm really good at. And he was like, well, this job has soldering. I was like, no, not quite the same. Right. But I was also wanting to, I've always kind of been one of those people that likes to do and learn all different things. That's why I really like what I do now. But right. I didn't know anything about electrical or environmental. I didn't really know what the job was when I first enlisted, but it came with a signing on bonus, so you can't complain there.
Absolutely not.
Going through tech school, it was a struggle just because, I don't know, it wasn't I didn't fit into that job, I don't think. I made it through, I didn't fail or anything, but it's always like if I was a student, it would have been like C, B average, C plus, B plus kind of, hit and miss thing. But
you made it through that tech school. You got back here. You started working on planes.
Yeah, I started working on planes and starting that whole adventure with that shop. We were we were the same for a little bit, and then I think it was like my third year in, and keep in mind, like between basic training and tech school, that took up a year in itself. So I was 2 years working with my shop, and then they split us in half, and we had the flight line side, and then we had the back shop, and that's how like active duty, and I think most everybody runs. And I don't know why we didn't start out that way. I don't know the whole background, but they put me on back shop at first, and then later I moved to the flight line because of complications that rose with somebody on the back shop. And needless to say, like I stuck it out my 6 years there, and I got my 5 level, and I did what I had to do, but it was quite a journey. I mean, I learned a lot, but I also lost a lot.
Yeah. So sticking it out in a career, and we talked a little bit about going into something you weren't necessarily passionate about.
Yeah.
When you started talking about welding, Amanda, your face lights up and you get animated. But this is just soldering and fixing some components on aircraft, and you were looking for something a little bit more from the military, but you still wanted to stay in. How did you manage to cross the runway?
Well, it was hard. Okay, there was a lot of complications with E&E, but there was a lot of, there was some good parts as well. I really liked being able to tell people, yeah, I fix airplanes, I was like, yeah, I do this. I always get that question, or how many airplanes have you flown? I'm like, I don't fly them, I fix them. But that was something, that I had to let go. And when I was searching for the job, Loeffler poke his little head out again. And, that's how I kind of got over here. But it was a while still because there was no openings in his shop. And then he was like, oh, there's electrical over here. And I was like, that's not really the best fit for me. Electrical in CE, not on planes. But, I can do electrical work, but there is some big gaping holes that lost information just because I purposely suppressed it with bad memory. So I just had to kind of let that go. And I think that's what kind of overtook me in my last unit was I was forgetting stuff. I mean, it was a difficult job to do, and to have to memorize everything in 2 days and then remember it from a month from now. You get like active duty people that have done it for years, or you get people that are out there every day. They just work on planes, and then as a reservist, you just come out those 2 days. I'm like, I don't know.
That's a challenge.
Yeah, I did a lot of trying to memorize and everything, and I just I developed confidence issues because of their training methods, and I knew all the answers that they were asking of me, but I couldn't answer them. It was like I just wouldn't answer. I would be like silent, or I was there.
Amanda, you bring up a really good point, and that is the folks that come out here 1 weekend a month, and how much work it takes on the other 28 days a month just to stay current, stay proficient, and the passion that folks have that do come in on our drill weekends to know their craft, know their job, understand it, and all the extra studying and work that it takes.
Yeah. It's a lot more work than the typical. You hear you're a weekend warrior. It's a lot more than that.
Right. It's a passion, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And you gotta, lately, in our commander's calls and all that, they really push to remembering your why. And that is a big thing here. You gotta remember why you joined and why you're doing this. And when I was going through all that tough stuff on the 934th, I remembered my why, and it kept me going. And that's kind of like it brings out your passion. And if you really like what you're doing as a job, and you really like who you're working for, there's nothing stopping you.
So do you like who you're working for now?
I adore them.
Tell me about the CE family, the Civil Engineer family that you're a part of now.
Well, it's just that, a family. I actually feel like a family. I fit in more with CE in like this, in the beginning, I was there for like a few months, and I felt like I fit in there more than I ever did in the 6 years I was on the 934th.
Yeah.
Maintenance is different because it's a lot of go go go. But here in CE, it's a lot of really hard labor, but it's easy. I don't know. It's easy and it's difficult. It's difficult enough to keep you going.
Yeah.
And with these guys, I don't know. Each shop we come together. We were in Japan and my commander was out there working side by side with us.
Mm-hmm.
That's a leader right there.
Yeah.
And I see like my shop chief he's a great leader too. He's working just as hard as the rest of us instead of just being like, you did this wrong or you did this wrong. Well, okay. Gee, thanks. But they're just people I never want to disappoint,
Right.
Like I want to try my hardest for, because it was such a big difference from the 934th for me anyways. They're working hard for we're a family, like I got brothers now.
Yeah.
I got a lot of them.
A lot of brothers, right?
A lot of brothers.
And so this kind of brings up another good point here, Amanda. You talk about the artistry of your welding, and I know what you do on the outside. We'll get to that in just a second, and that's primarily a male-dominated career. The military in and of itself, historically, has been a very male-dominated career. Now, the Air Force, I think, is sitting right around 35% female now. So we're catching up to parity, and every year gets a little bit better. But you're still in a very male-dominated area. The
Yes.
civil engineers of plumbers, electricians, people that build up, like buildings and stuff,
Yeah.
people that build across, like pavements and runways and stuff, and that care for all of that apparatus of just building a city from the ground up and maintaining it, are in civil engineers. That's a lot of primarily men.
Yes.
What's the challenge been for you as a woman moving into a male-dominated career field and having a passion for it too?
For military, it hasn't been, excluding 934 stuff.
Yeah.
It hasn't been all that difficult here. I think what I do on the outside definitely helps because, I've been through the ringer for a lot of different things. And with guys, I've always, even growing up, I was like the tomboy. So I always kind of fit in with the guys more. Like, I can change your oil in like 15 minutes. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
The most feminine thing about me was probably dance. And I didn't really have any friends. I had one good friend, but she was older than me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that helps. And just, I don't know, just being with one of the guys it's easy for me,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't get really offended. I don't let things bother me. And most of the time, no, all the time, they're always just joking. So I know that if something went wrong, those guys would be there for me.
Yeah.
And I got that feeling almost right away.
Yeah, you talked about the family.
Yeah.
Or we talked about the family of CE, because that's where I spent most of my career.
Yeah.
Was in that civil engineer family, and it's
It
close.
is. We are close.
Yeah.
Even EM.
Yes.
EM is great. They're great. Everybody is great over there.
It's so good to hear that. It's a place that I still hold pretty close in my heart. Traditional guardsman is what you are, which means you come in 1 weekend a month.
Yes.
And you work structures, but on the outside you work for Caterpillar.
Yes.
That's here in the Twin Cities. It's a manufacturing career. You weld all day and your pants catch on fire and you keep on going.
Yeah.
What's it like working for Caterpillar? Tell us about the relationship that your guard life has with your work with Cat.
As far as military stuff and Caterpillar, I think they are probably top notch. I do have an Army officer up in the big offices, so he's always looking out for us. Not many. We sit down. They celebrate Veterans Day. They hand out Caterpillar apparel, and we have cookies and whatever. Working for Cat is a roller coaster. I have some awesome coworkers that also give me the same feeling of if something happened, they'd be there, and they've helped me, being the typical female me, I'll overthink, my job as a welder. I gotta say, it doesn't take a whole lot of thinking, so I'm thinking about everything else, and I'm way overthinking things, and the guys just sit there and listen, or I listen to them, they, whatever comes up. And as welders, I feel like we come together, and we're, if I have a question of something, or if maybe someone has something different different way of doing it, I listen. I love learning about welding. I love learning about other people welding. So that's, or how they weld. So I try to grasp everything that the older guys share, the grandpas, Now, when I started at CAT, I was third shift. And then I went
That's in the middle of the night, right?
Yes, that was the shift of 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then I went to second. So the only thing seniority really gets you at CAT is moving up to first. And I got really lucky with that. Sometimes you're there on third and second shift for like 8 years. I got lucky, and I moved up pretty fast. So I'm on first shift now. And I gotta say, like, the age differences go from really young to the older guys, just because, the seniority thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I've made friends on all three shifts. Yeah, we move around a little bit. One of my favorite coworkers, probably like a year younger than my dad. Him and I we're just two peas in a pod. I was supposed to meet this person and be best friends with him.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of guys that are like that there, though. It's crazy. Like, I make pretty good friendships. I do have 3 other female workers or welders there. There's other forklift drivers and all that, but as welders, there's only 4 of us. 2 of them, well, one of them I don't really know because we worked opposite shifts for too long, and then one I did work with, and she's pretty cool. And then we got a newbie. She's still a temp, and that's how I started out as CAT too. I didn't stay a temp very long though. She is still a temp because she doesn't want to get off a first shift.
Sure.
CAT's not really good at that flexibility thing when it comes to, okay, if you get hired on here, you're going to be on third.
It's hard in a manufacturing
It
career
is.
field to do that.
Yeah. You got lots of people, you got to have people on third or second to keep things rolling. So you kind of have to do that. Yeah. But I hope I kind of took her under my wing, and I'm showing her, everything that I know and came across, and hoping that her welding and stuff gets better. It's not easy to bring up something a welder did wrong. I gotta say, like, guys and stuff, you got like undercut there, or you got this, as an inspector, I'm not one, but I could see that being a difficult job.
Sure. It's like telling somebody how to fix their stroke of paint on a tapestry, right?
Yeah. Right. There's like picking on each other, and then there's, I can't think of the word, but the constructive criticism.
Yeah. Like,
most of the time, I'm just saying it so you don't get caught by an inspector, right?
Sure.
Like, that's the last thing. And I don't know, when I first started at CAT, I feel like I could not weld. But seeing myself transition through year and day and week, whatever, and getting better at welding each time is amazing. I go having 15 write-ups. And when I say write-ups, I'm talking like quality hits, undercut, porosity, you didn't tie that in, whatever. Mm-hmm. To now I have 15 frames under my belt with 0 quality hits.
No way.
The only problem, CAT does 0 recognition. I think they're working on that. I hope that they're working on that. But their recognition is kind of lacking right now.
That is another thing it's different between the culture and climate that we have here in uniform compared to what there is out there. Money talks out in the corporate structure, but out here, we recognize people that do a good job, hand them a coin, give them a medal,
right?
And it means a lot.
Yep.
Right?
Actually, we were talking we were talking some ideas because we have the Moxie. Our commander does the Moxie cans of pop, and that's always like I got one already too.
Orange soda from Maine.
Yeah,
and that's become the big deal in Minnesota.
it's not
right?
orange though. It's not flavored orange. It's like licorice and black licorice and like
Okay.
Dr. Pepper. I've never tasted it. We just had one explode in Japan, and I smelt it, and I was like, whew. I heard it tastes like what's that alcohol? Jägermeister, I think. I don't know.
Jägermeister.
Yeah.
You're from Lindstrom and you can't say Jägermeister. You're German and you can't say Jägermeister.
I'm more Norwegian than I am
Atta
German. I know this because I can't eat anything spicy. But Cat, I think Cat, it's very like management, the rest of us.
Sure.
And I feel like sometimes they don't listen to us. They have their, surveys. I've never liked surveys personally, even through school. I used to have my dad be like, she does not have to do the survey. But they don't do a good job listening to us. And I feel like if they just took a moment and listened to us, we got some smart guys out on that floor.
And smart gals out on that floor too.
Yes, that too, yes.
Amanda, you are learning some of those really good leadership skills.
God, I hope
and
so.
I'm hearing you talk about how important it is to listen to people.
It is.
And that's a skill I'm still working on, and I'm a few years older than you are. But it's one of those constant things that we try to evolve and work on.
Yeah, but if you're not learning, then you're not really, I don't know, living, kind of.
Right.
You're always learning.
Time to go if I stop learning in this job, that's for sure. And it is a whole lot of fun. Getting back to Kat, you just went to Japan.
Yes.
Left for 15, 20 days?
Yeah, it was about 3 weeks.
Yeah. How did Caterpillar support you in that? You said they're really good with the military.
They are. So when I say they're really good, I'm talking really good. For one, they never questioned when I say I have to do military stuff. Let's say I have to come out randomly on a Friday. They never ask for paperwork. They never ask for a note. They don't ask for orders. And I think that's really nice because it's one less thing I have to worry about. You know, I need to be focusing on my Air Force stuff. And there's a lot of paperwork that comes with the Air Force already. So it's like digging all that stuff down and bugging your supervisor about getting this information to them. It becomes a task. And I had to deal with that with prior jobs. And it was just not easy. The other thing that CAT does, and I'm bad about getting the paperwork in. I gotta get better. But they will pay the differential while I'm gone. So let's say I normally make $200 and I make $100 here in the Air Force, they'll pay the other $100.
Yeah.
You just have to put in like your LESs and send them your orders and stuff. But that comes in handy when I'm normally living, I get paid weekly. And then when you do military stuff, it's every 2 weeks. So it's a little kind of like, okay, wow, got to organize everything in my brain. And I live alone, so all the bills fall upon me. And, I have it organized upon CAT, not military stuff. I do have, I left for school for 6 months and they were like, okay, see you when you get back.
Wow.
I'm about to leave them again for my very first deployment. I'm really excited, but very nervous about it because I'm going all by myself. I'm not going with the unit, and I just hope that I represent the 133rd as good as I can because it is great here.
We already know that you will. I'm going to reintroduce you. We're going to take a break.
Okay.
I've been talking with Staff Sergeant Amanda Wolkenhauer. I'm getting it right. Your grandma won't be mad at me.
Yeah.
We're going to be back after a quick commercial break. Hope you stick around.
This is Technical Sergeant Gallucci with the Minnesota Air National Guard recruiting team. Is your day boring? Are you tired of sitting behind a desk? Or are you a student that is looking for something more than just average? Thinking about making a change in your life? Looking for a challenge? Wanting to be a vital puzzle piece in the big picture? Well, the Minnesota Air National Guard is the answer to that calling, to that change. We currently have openings in many technical career fields in civil engineering, such as electrical systems apprentices and water and fuel systems maintenance apprentice. When that spark to serve your country and community ignites, please reach out to me via text or phone call at 612-910-1187. I look forward to speaking with you soon. Fly, fight, win.
Welcome back, and thanks for sticking around. We're on the second segment featuring Staff Sergeant Amanda Wolkenhauer. Sorry, I got to not have written that down, Amanda. I apologize.
Hey, I still do it. So.
Hey, good deal. At least your grandma's not going to be mad at me and I'm pronouncing the last name right.
That's all that matters.
Thanks for sticking around with me for the second half of Beneath the Wing. Asked you who, a person or a character from history that you really identify with, and you talked about Rosie the Riveter. Pretty hotly debated, actually, if a real Rosie the Riveter actually existed. In 1942, Red Evans and John Jacob Loeb wrote a song recorded about her to help the war effort. But the image of Rosie the Riveter became really important. It was a symbol of strength and women working in normally male-dominated careers and helping the military. So get into that. Tell me what strong means to you.
Strong is having, working with what you got and knowing how to use, what you got. And then also with strength, it's got to be, despite whatever's going on, you get the job done. You work really hard, not for somebody else, but for yourself. I don't weld for Caterpillar or for other people. I weld for me because I love it and I want to do my very best at it, And it takes a lot of strength and other things to, okay, you got to admit to yourself when you've done something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
With welding, I'm like, oh, okay, that weld is a little iffy. What can I do to make it better?
Yeah.
What can I be to be better? And I think that takes a lot of strength to admit that.
You shared with us right before we went to break that you're getting ready to go on a deployment all by yourself.
Yes.
And your big concern is representing
the 133rd.
Us well.
Yes.
But honestly, listening to you, does it take a lot of strength to do that? To just take off, go on your own, and hit a deployment?
It does. Personally, with me, I have to fight a lot of confidence issues and doing things on my own and trusting myself to be able to do them. Even taking like a CDC test, which I also have coming up, I have to, hey, you got this. You can do this. People believe in you, and you got to believe in you.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of strength for a deployment. I've been away from home, but I've never been on a deployment, so it'll be a little bit different. But my strength is right there in my family, and I know that they're going to be there, whether I can hear them, see them, or just feel them as I go.
Yeah. Tell us about that family structure and the support. We did a little bit when we started out here, just kind of encouraging you to get into the military, but how have they supported you along the way?
They've always been, when it comes to touchy things, non-judgmental, I would say. They're there, and they would do just about anything for me, I feel like. Alex, my brother, he's a big inspiration. He's got a disability that he fights every day. I know he fights it every day, even though he doesn't admit it. He's got cerebral palsy. It's not on a severe case where he's in a wheelchair or anything. He's actually one of the smartest people I know in IT and everything. But he's not just like some little computer nerd. No, he's out there doing woodworking and stuff. And I really wanted to meet these guys here because it's, he's one of those people who gets along with everybody. And God, if I could be even a 16th of what he is, that would be amazing. Even my dad is so smart, knows a lot of random stuff, like how to make a donut. I don't know why he knows this stuff.
Dads are good at knowing random stuff.
Yeah. And then my mom comes in and she makes me think about feelings and the cheesy stuff, that stuff you eat with crackers. But she brings me down to earth and makes me think twice about how I do things. And she's always been really kind. And I really push for that, because if you show a little kindness here, you'll find it in a different way. It might not be for them from that person or that area or whatever it is, but kindness is a big thing, and it'll go a long way, and it could make someone's day. It could make someone, could change their life. You never know. Opening that door, holding, helping them across the road, whatever it is.
Yeah. Little bits of kindness go a long way.
Yeah, it's the little things. Enjoy the little things.
Absolutely. You talked about the family at CE, and your dad and your mom and your brother Alex all have different traits and characteristics.
Yes.
Which one of those traits and characteristics did you bring to your family here at CE?
To be honest, I'm still working on that. I can't read from them what I'm bringing to them, but I'm just making a path. I know that I'm really good at working really hard. I might not be smart about it, but I will give you every little physical strength that I can, whether it be carrying buckets of water up and down so you can clean trowels or whatever in Japan, or, and being there for my people too, and listening to whatever comes their way, and hopefully being someone they can lean on if they need to,
Yeah.
Again, with that kindness thing, I always try to make, I make a lot of cookies. And that was like one of the most helpful things that my dad ever taught me to do, was to bake these cookies, because, man, seeing those people's faces and they're like, it tastes so good.
I know I'm going to have to stop at CE for a cookie when we're done.
For sure. I don't have them this week or this month, because I was working on CDCs a lot. But definitely, I'll have to bring them up now. I know where you are.
Well, there you go. She first found my office today. CDCs, for those that are listening, are a career development course. It's just like any kind of continuing education that we have to do to get better at our job. Talk about the progression here. You cross-trained after starting in one job. You moved to another. Cool thing about the military is you don't lose any pay when you start out at ground zero on a job. How's the learning been for you with your career development? What's the challenges that you've been going through on that?
I think, going through tech school, I did really, really well.
Yeah.
So we got 2 parts to our tech school. The first part, we will take it with either Navy or Army in our class.
Yeah.
And then the second half is all Air Force. The first half was more of the carpentry stuff and all that stuff. But I got 3rd in my class, and I was very surprised. I liked it being all hands-on. There was, of course, book work, but I had such a great class, another good representation of future CE, but we all looked out for each other. Me being prior, there was like that kind of wall. We couldn't see each other outside of class or anything like that. But during class or right before tests, we were all just trying to help each other study. And that was awesome. And I think that really helped a lot. And then the second half, I was a point away from getting distinguished graduate. And I was trying to do my best for my future shop, because at this point, I've already met with them. I've worked with them. And I just wanted to do what I could, to... I don't know. They've even said that I've kind of stepped in. I'm Loeffler's protege, and that puts a little pressure on me to do my very best, but not as much as trying to be my best for them.
Yeah. You're forging your own path.
Yeah, the 934th, I definitely didn't feel like a good airman, more like a broken airman, and I didn't want that following me around anymore. And I was like, I'm gonna lead this here, and I'm going to be different, and I'm going to be great, and it's going to be great. And so far, I'm one step at a time. I'm getting there.
Amanda, you found a new home and a new family.
I did.
And it just sounds like you're able to you're learning new things, but you're also a part of you're able to be yourself in a family where you're comfortable. Yes. And describing your family structure, that's kind of the way you grew up.
Yes.
A place where you're comfortable.
Very well loved.
And well loved. And that's one thing that in the military, we're not necessarily good at it, but it's there. The fact that we do love one another out here.
Yes.
A little sappy, but it's still a true thing, isn't it?
Yep. It might not be outspoken outright, but it's there in the way that people do things for you or are looking out for you. Really, you feel it. It's a lot different than what I went through at the 934th.
For sure.
Definitely.
Okay, so second half of the podcast. Amanda, this is podcast number 39, by the way. You haven't listened to any of these, which you told me. You're going to listen to this one, aren't you?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to.
one of the things that we do is we have a quick question. So you got to answer the question quickly, first thing that pops in your head.
Gosh. Okay.
And then we just move right on to the next question. You ready for this?
Oh, boy.
I'm sure you're going to do just fine.
As long as it's not math.
Okay, good, because I don't do math really well either. New Year's resolution you know you're going to break.
A New Year's okay. New Year's resolution I know I'm going to break. I didn't think of those. I just thought of ones I wanted to accomplish.
There you go. Okay, well, we're going to come back to that one. Best holiday treat.
Oh, scalp corn.
Led Zeppelin or Metallica?
Lead.
John Deere or cat?
I gotta say cat.
I guess you do. Your coworkers might listen to this one.
Yeah.
I'm a green and yellow guy myself, but okay. Stick feed or wire feed?
Ooh, I guess wire. Stick is dirty.
Best Christmas movie?
Home Alone.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Tequila, because you only say one word.
That one. I got you. Okay. If you could become any animal, which animal would you be?
A dog.
Okay. What's a New Year's resolution that you know you're going to break, or you know anyone else is going to break? Make it easy on you.
Anyone else? What do you mean?
Yeah. What's a New Year's resolution that's always broken?
Oh, what's always broken? I'm going to go to the gym all the time.
That was mine too. Okay. So do you know who John Heathcote is?
I feel like I've heard of that name, but
all right, I'll give you a little history here.
Oh, fun.
We do a little fun and learning along the way. He's most famous for being a member of Parliament from Triverton back in the early 1800s. He had a patent for a very complex weaving machine called a warp loom. You have no idea where I'm going with this. It's fun. It made English lace, like those little doilies you see in Grandma's house.
Yeah.
Grandma who pronounces name that starts with a W with a V. That one. He also patented the first steam plow with a track design.
Okay.
All right. Paving the way for what Caterpillar would soon become best known for. So Heathcote's steam plow sunk in a swamp. He didn't have the money to continue working on it. He couldn't even get it out of the mud. If you had limitless funds and time to create something, what would you make or improve?
Like, make anything?
Anything.
Anything?
Yeah.
Oh.
Limitless money.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't know, I want to build something that helps everybody in a way, but I don't know what that would be. I don't know.
I'll bet it would be made out of metal, though.
Yeah, so I could show off my welds.
So you've mentioned your favorite high school teacher a couple times, who turned into Master Sergeant Scott Leffler.
Yeah, I had to get used to saying that instead of Mister.
I'm sure. One of the kids that grew up with my kids showed up at the front gate when I was working in security forces, and I was in uniform. He looked at me and goes, "Mr. Legvold?" It was hilarious. It was cute. Anyway, so Master Sergeant Scott Leffler, your favorite high school teacher, he was known for putting his school picture up all over the base.
Yeah.
He was just a weird guy. What's the best advice he ever gave you, or the most important lesson you learned from a weirdo like him?
You know, it wasn't something that he just outright spoke to me, but his enthusiasm and his positivity and his, go Wildcats. And just making me feel like I had a friend in the world when I didn't really have many friends. It made a big difference in my life, and I think it gave me the confidence to weld, to do the military, to be who I am now. I don't think he ever thought that it would come to this where we know each other. I didn't think it was going to. I mean, he had my brother as a student, he had my sister as a student. You know, it was just a weird path that we took, and I'm glad that I had him, you know, to show me this, you know, how to get here and stuff. But just him believing and being like, you can do what the guys can do. He wrote that on one of these little recognition cards that you're supposed to turn in. I never did. I still have it.
Yeah.
It's a little wild card for Wildcats. And he was like, oh, Amanda's always trying to do what the guys do. And I don't know, that always kind of stuck with me to keep going and not care, you know, not care what those guys think or what, you know, what they assume that you can do or can't do. And you just be like, I can do it.
Yeah.
Watch me.
You're a staff sergeant now, which
Yeah.
means you're going to start leading people more. Are you
Yeah.
going to pass that? How are you going to pass that same kind of thing that was so impactful from Mr. Master Sergeant Scott Leffler? How are you going to pass that on to your troops? How does a good leader do that to the people that they lead, even out in corporate world?
You know, I've seen bad leaders, I've seen good leaders, and I feel like I got a good grasp, and I hope that I can be a good leader and you know, be the staff sergeant that I should and want to be. And by doing that, you know, listening is a big thing. Showing them, you know, how to do something, but not having, you know, do it with them a couple times first, you know, before you have to just be like, oh yeah, go figure it out. Go read it in the TO. I heard that a lot. Go figure it out. Okay, thanks. I just read about the wrong plane for half the day. But thank you for telling me to go figure it out, you know? Yeah, I get the concept. You do have to find things on your own, but, you know, I want to be the leader where I can, you know, kind of protrude some things to help you along the way, I guess, and to be there for any questions that you may have, you know, along the way and be able to answer them. You know, that's a big thing for me is, you know, because I'm still doing the upgrade training, is I want to take in everything so I can answer those questions and I can help that person.
Yeah. Amanda, thanks for joining me today on Beneath the Wing. This has been great.
Yeah, it's been great for me too.
It has been so fun to listen to you as a strong person. We asked, you know, are you strong? And I can definitely see that, and the passion that you bring to just not only your welding artistry, but also to the service that you have here, the family that you have at CE, and to the family that we have here at the 133rd. So thanks for being a part of Beneath the Wing.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I hope you all join me next time on Beneath the Wing, where we learn the stories of strength and success of other people here at the Wing.